Layers of the atmosphere lab. So this is just a quick lab before you get into the lab. Normally we would do this in person. If you were here, you would be doing this part, but because you're not here, we're just gonna, I kind of went through it. I'm gonna show you a quick video and the results, and you'll kind of use that in the second part of the lab, the part you start today. So for this portion, we're gonna represent the first two layers of the atmosphere with sponges. Okay, so here's the procedure of what I did. I'm going to show you a quick video. It's a longer video, but I'm going to kind of skim through it, and then I'll show you the results. So I stacked two sponges on top of each other. The bottom sponge represents the troposphere, and the top sponge represents the stratosphere, so layers in the atmosphere. Okay? I set the two sponges in a thin layer of water, and I observed for about 3 to 4 minutes. Once the 3 or 4 minutes was completed, I squeezed out the water in the top sponge into a graduated cylinder. I recorded the measurement. Then I did the same thing with the bottom sponge. And the question that I was trying to answer was, which sponge absorbs more water, the bottom sponge or the top sponge? So here's a quick little video. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. It's like 5 minutes long, but I'm just going to kind of skim through it. So here's the first sponge. Here's my layer of water, and the sponge floats, so I had to hold it down. Here's the second sponge, and that's the stratosphere. So the bottom sponge is the thermosphere, or the troposphere, sorry, and the top sponge is the stratosphere. So in this layer of water, sponges absorb that water. So I let it sit for about 4 minutes, okay? And the water slowly leaked up into the bottom sponge and then into the top sponge. So I held it here. Again, I went through it. It floated, so I kind of had to hold it down a little bit. And at the end, I squeezed out the water in each of the sponges, and here was my results. So the bottom sponge, okay, that is sponge number 1, got 10 milliliters of water. As I squeezed it out, it wasn't perfect, but I got about 10 milliliters of water in this graduated cylinder. The top sponge was the stratosphere. I only got about 2 milliliters of water. So what that shows is that there are more molecules in the troposphere, that bottom sponge, than there are in the stratosphere. So the troposphere is more dense than the stratosphere. Okay, so when we look at this, the bottom sponge had more than the top sponge.